Merch.
There you go. You'll find the merch tab.
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly.
It's so smart. And I love the work that you do. When you were getting up and I'd been listening to the show, Arad, I mean, because we're sort of three different generations, clearly. I mean, I was born just after. I mean, Nixon was still in office. I was born in 1971.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, Arad, obviously, your first president was Bush.
I was born in 2001.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
gosh.
So 30 years. And what you have seen, what you have worked on, what you have experienced, what you carry in your body is extraordinary, both in your knowledge, your wisdom, but also the trauma of what you have been through. And I think, I don't know if it's something I should say it that way, but this has got to be absolutely bonkers for you.
It is, and when you say trauma, I did not experience trauma during Watergate.
Right.
I never felt that democracy was going to end. I didn't feel like I would be afraid to leave the country because they would search my social media and find me unacceptable, which if they look at my social media, I am definitely unacceptable to this administration. And I knew there was an enemies list in the Nixon era. I never made it. I haven't made Trump's either, which these days is actually a good thing because what Donald Trump is doing is so much worse.
Yeah.
I now feel daily trauma.
Yeah.
I have whiplash. I worry every single day about what is going on and what rights will be taken away.
Right.
I don't know what scares me more, the blowing up of ships randomly at sea, violating the Geneva Convention and our own rules of war by killing survivors of a shipwreck. Oh my God, this is like so horrible. I just had a guest on who said, do not talk about renaming the Kennedy Center, but I'm sorry, it bothers me.
Yeah.
Because it shows the insanity of the current incumbent of the White House. And starting a ballroom and doing a new battleship named after him. These are terrible, terrible things, but it's also terrible because they aren't doing the things he promised. Things are more expensive, not less expensive. And that's what we need to talk about as Democrats, are doing the things they need to do to bring us back to some kind of sanity.
And Arad, how do you feel? Because I mean, as a young person who, the biggest presidency of your lifetime has been Trump, right? It's like kind of when you came in your political consciousness awareness. We kind of have more examples of Democrats who led. Right, and even before that, we had this conversation last night. But what is your perception of how Democrats are handling this? Because I kind of feel like I personally am. I just realized I had to admit to myself today that I feel like I'm trapped in this victimhood of he's doing this to us.
Exactly that. I try to. I mean, I struggle with trying to get myself out of that. Like we just have no power. It seems. I, as a young person, don't have. I mean, I don't have the money to donate to the candidates that I want in a significant amount.
Right.
I work full time, so I don't really have the time to always be helping out candidates, even locally. Right. I'm always helping out candidates out in Kane County, and but at the same time, Illinois is a blue state. So, but I do find myself still reaching out and meeting with other candidates across the country. Just a few weeks ago, I was at a fundraiser for Rebecca Cook in Wisconsin's 3rd. And I look at people like Rebecca Cook. I look at people like Christina Bohannon, who's running in Iowa's 1st. Two fantastic, just super, super intelligent women who are going to flip seats from red to blue. And I get myself out of this funk by saying, we need to help out these candidates.
Right.
We need to flip the seat. I think about Lauren Underwood in 2018, her, Elisa Slotkin, Abigail Spanberger, they flipped seats in 2018. And all of these concerns about the leadership in the Democratic Party and what Democrats are doing, the meaningful change at least, will come from people like Rebecca Cook and Christina Bohannon and all of these other seats that we flip. They're going to be the new leaders. They are going to be leading this change. And frankly, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer will have no choice because those are going to be his most vulnerable leaders, their most vulnerable members.
Right.
And that's where I think the change is going to be. And I think that's where you're also going to get more youth into the Democratic Party nationally.
Because when I came in, Jill and I were talking, and you said, I believe the last guest told you, be optimistic. There's good things coming, and it's hard for us. I mean, and it sounds like you're investing your energy into that. Jill, when you look at like the scope of leaders that we've had, because I wanted more, and I don't know what that, but I also don't know what that is. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, my first awareness really of a president, my first involvement was with John F. Kennedy. So if that's your model, it's hard to go from there. I mean, he was fabulous and he was a good communicator. But then I lived through, Donald Trump. I haven't lived through it because it's not over yet, but I lived through Nixon. I lived through the Bushes. I lived through Cheney. I mean, he wasn't president, but he was. He sort of was.
I mean.
And so I've seen the good and the bad, and I remain optimistic. I was raised by a family that said the president is to be honored and respected. Doesn't matter if you voted for him, if you supported him. The presidency is something sacrosanct. I then listened to tapes that said, no, the president is a crook. He is a criminal. I heard him do it. And I haven't heard tapes of Donald Trump, but I hear him speaking publicly.
Yeah.
He says out loud all the horrible things he's doing. And so, I mean, we're not a perfect democracy, but we're better than anything else. And I hope we can go back to having a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate that will stop the worst of the worst that's happening in the Trump administration. He will veto any good legislation. So I'm not optimistic that we can make the progress we need to make, but at least we can stop the bad.
Right.
And that is good enough for now. It's not good enough. We have to get a new president to start going backward into what I would consider to be, Biden was a good president. Let's go back to that.
Yeah.
For me,
that type of presidency. Boring. Go ahead.
Yeah,
exactly.
boring is good.
Yes, exactly.
What bothered me the most, for me, like the darkest point of the Trump presidency so far, it's probably going to get darker, but I remember reading these comments from Steve Bannon where he referred to the House of Representatives as the Duma, right? That just like in Russia, the Russian parliament, it only exists for Vladimir Putin. They cannot stand up to him. They can't do anything. That seemed to me like the darkest point, and that's exactly what the current speaker wants. He is there to be spineless. He's there because he's a moron, because he's not smart enough to count the votes, but he's also there because he is a complete and utter sycophant. And that was the darkest point. But I cannot help but be optimistic. We just have to flip 3 seats from red to blue, and it's a bit less of a Duma-like situation, right? We actually would have. I believe that Hakeem Jeffries, essentially as our opposition to Trump, would be fantastic. The use of the oversight committee to actually hold Trump's cabinet accountable, Trump's appointees accountable, right? I am waiting and I am hoping for investigation after investigation after investigation, right? Have these people who are really just the most banal people imaginable, just squirming in their seats when you have these fantastic, deeply intelligent members of Congress, right? Legal scholars. I think about the Senate, right? Having Elisa Slotkin and Adam Schiff grilling RFK Jr. or Pam Bondi or whoever. I'm looking forward to that, and I have the popcorn ready. So,
but we want that. We want that accountability. We're up against our break. I'm not going to hold you hostage, Jill. You are free to leave at your own leisure. But Jill, I want to let you know there are listeners who are so grateful for the show that you had, and they're jealous of me to be in studio with you, and I'm jealous of myself, because later I won't have you. Arad Boxenbaum joins us, 25-year-old activist and advocate for gun violence prevention, pro-choice rights, and pro-LGBTQ plus equality efforts, and also a member of the Library Board of Geneva, Illinois. Look at that. That wasn't even on my sheet. And of course, Watergate Girl, Joe Weinbikes, who is filling in for Jonas Esposito today. When do we have the pleasure? Are you back again anytime soon?
I do, I'm always open to invitations, so just invite me.
And Sisters-in-Law available wherever you listen to your podcast.
Wherever you listen to podcasts, hashtag Sisters-in-Law. And I also have a YouTube show called Just the Facts, which sort of resounds with the WCPT.
Exactly.
Because just the facts really matter, and it used to really matter. That's how we got rid of Richard Nixon. The facts mattered.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us with a little bit more of your time. I know that I kept you over, but I just had to know what you were thinking. Have a good evening. Have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Hanukkah.
All the things. Let's take a break here. All the holidays. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation with Arad Boxenbaum when we come back on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KKNW 1150.
Stephanie Miller.
I get to say my favorite sentence in the entire world. Here comes Kathy Griffin, hero of democracy. Hello.
How are we going to do this? Because I know we're both going to want to talk at the same time because it's a love fest. I am so in love with you. You are so important and wonderful and funny and brilliant, and you are who I aspire to be.
No, you.
When I grow up, I want to be you.
No, you. No, you.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings 8 to 11 on WCPT 820.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our drive home on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 in Seattle. Thank you to our sponsors, Minocqua Brewing Company. Ben Cominos has a new piece out. Jill Weinbanks was mentioning the ballroom. Ben Cominos has a theory about how that might be actually an underground AI facility, similar to the one that was built in Israel for around the same amount of money. So check out Ben Cominos' new piece on MinocquaBrewingCompany.com's and their Substack. That might be what that is. And I also want to thank our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com and maybe put an order in for a bean subscription. They have single origin beans, which is the best way to have your beans, by the way. And you can also maybe pick up some of their gay swag. They have some hoodies and T-shirts that say "Sounds Gay." I'm in. I'm going to grab this door because it's super heavy. Let me do this real quick. There you go. Have a safe drive home, my friend. Take care. We have Pride Coffee Roasters at pridecoffeeroasters.com. They have their Resistance Blend, the Resistance Movement Blend, which has Dominican Republic beans and Arabica Asia beans. And we also want to let you know that tastes like, let's see, a hint of blueberry cobbler, chocolate malt, and a warming spice. So go to pridecoffeeroasters.com. And of course, our friends at Source Solar are going to join us in the next couple weeks to talk about getting geared up to get solar panels on your house or business. So go to source.solar, maybe make an appointment, and we'll have them in studio to answer your questions. And answering my questions right now is Arad Boxenbaum, elected member of the library board in Geneva, Illinois. He's 25 now. I think when I met you, you were 23. Oh, you're still 25? Sorry.
I'm still 24
Oh,
for
24.
now. April 27th, 2001.
I don't know
so
why somebody put
almost.
Someone gave me the wrong information. They're fired.
Oh, no.
Just teasing. No. 24. So you were 23 maybe when I met you, maybe 22. We watched
I was 22 because I was 22 or 23 because I was running for state rep when I first did my appearance here. And I was 24.
We watched the VP debate, I believe, together. God,
the presidential with Kamala Harris. That was a fun.
That's one. Right. It was the Kamala Harris and that was they're eating the dogs. That's what we saw that night. God, yeah. Doesn't it? I mean, this has been a long friggin' year. How are things out in your neck of the woods?
Oh boy, I mean, so we had these No Kings rallies where I was stunned at how high the turnout was. Geneva is a town of about 24 people, like we're just shy of home rule. And then like nearby towns are a similar, like 20,000, 30,000. We're about half an hour away from Naperville, and then NIU is like another half hour west of us. We're right in between the two. And we were having, the last No Kings rally that we had over 10,000 people showing up. We had to move the typical rally point. It's usually this bridge going through downtown Geneva. There were so many people that it was actually harmful for local businesses because we took up all the parking spots. So now we're down along Randall Road, which is a main artery in Kane County, and we have more space for more people, and we were able to fit over 10,000 people multiple times over. So the enthusiasm is through the roof. Our municipal elections this past April were fantastic. All of the potential book banning candidates lost.
Nice.
We put some amazing people back in office. We elected some great people to local office. So out west is going really, really well.
Congratulations. Now, are you having, and I know because I remember following some of the Facebook conversations with the Moms for Liberty. There were all kinds of like smears and attacks and shenanigans going on. So I'm glad to hear that you guys were successful in those races. Are you experiencing, because I know that ICE activity obviously spreading beyond not just Chicago or Illinois. They're also in Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa. How are the neighbors doing it in your area?
It's tough. I'm in the same county as Aurora, Illinois, right? So Aurora has had ICE activity just all the time. And local electeds have been amplifying where they've been hearing ICE presence has been, but they've gone as far up as actually just where I live, actually. Batavia is just south of me. I'm right on the border of Geneva, Batavia, and they have been in Batavia. There's a Latino community in Batavia. There's a Latino community just north of me in St. Charles. Elgin a few weeks ago had this ICE raid in which, if I recall correctly, tear gas was used against protesters. The Kane County State's Attorney just last week announced that she will be investigating the actions of ICE in Elgin, and also as well from other local, not local law enforcement, but other law enforcement agencies that were working alongside ICE. The tactics they used against protesters who were just defending their neighbors, right? My family has been trying to get EU citizenship, Polish citizenship. You can get that if you can prove that your family was in Europe before the war and had to flee because of the war. That's one of those, break glass in case of emergency type things, where best case scenario, you just don't have a long line whenever you go to, to Paris or anything like that. But we'll break glass in case of emergency. You can, leave the country. And as the great grandson of refugees, whose citizenship, they had to flee Poland because they were Jewish. Seeing these documents of their rights eroding over time, going from, in 1869, a distant relative of mine purchased a plot of land. He was one of the first homeowners, it sounds like, all the way to, about 40, 50 years later, I had a relative who was a tailor and had to register his sewing machine, right? Seeing that evaporation of rights, it is haunting to see a similar parallel in the United States.
Yeah. Wow. My God. It is haunting. And there's a lot of, it's tragic. It's, for many families, it's catastrophic. Yeah. Obviously this, and now we're learning about this, some of the migrants that were being deported to El Salvador and prisons where they're being tortured, and CBS is trying to cover this up, and now which is actually amplifying. I have not seen the whole thing. I saw how they were basically brought down the stairs, like bent over, because we had seen videos, I don't know if you saw this months ago, where they were basically Hannibal Lectering some of the migrants that they were putting on the planes. Is that also part of this documentary?
It's in there. It is. It's not that graphic. It's CBS 60 Minutes, but they interview this Venezuelan asylum seeker who, throughout this whole segment, they're interviewing him and they're showing clips of him and talking about his interactions in CCOT. And he is depicting sexual assault. He is depicting this has been actually a case with ICE facilities in the United States. The drinking water is basically the same water from the toilet. They're putting anyone who is accused of misbehaving, which could be absolutely anything, they're putting them in these deprivation chambers. It is all concrete. You can't see anything. It's just dark, and they will come in randomly to beat you up. It was a prison designed to torture people. The president of El Salvador is a dictator. Right. He created these prisons to establish his power, and the United States is leasing it currently. Yeah. It's the same guards. It is absolutely horrific. And if you are complicit in this regime, of course you don't want that getting out. This is, I was thinking while watching this 15-minute segment, thinking, some of this footage is absolutely going to be aired in trials in the United States and in The Hague when Trump is long gone.
Yeah. Wow. For folks who are interested in seeing the documentary, I mean, there's a lot of places where it was leaked in Canada, and now it's being shown pretty much on social media all over the place. So you can find it. The CCOT documentary, the people have available on their own pages. Everyone's resharing it. CBS is trying to go after it and trying to recall it. That horse has gone around the world, out of the barn, in case you don't know what I was saying. Let's take a break here. We're in studio with our friend Arad Boxenbaum. I'm saying Arad correctly?
Absolutely.
Finally. Only took me 2 years, my friend. Boxenbaum, who is an elected member of the Library Board in Geneva, Illinois. He's also an advocate for gun violence prevention, pro-choice rights, and pro-LGBTQ plus equality efforts throughout the Chicagoland area. Let's take a break here. He's 24. I'm going to talk to my editor about this. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 in Seattle. Hi, friends.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with the low temperature at 33 degrees and northeast winds at 5 to 10. Wednesday, areas of fog and drizzle, a little bit of light rain as well, with a high temperature of 42. Wednesday night, fog and drizzle continue for Christmas Eve, a low of 37. Christmas Day, cloudy and mild, high temperature of 40 degrees, about 5 degrees above average. Friday, chance of rain, with a high of 48. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 46.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. Amy Goodman reports on the news stories rarely covered by the corporate media. Democracy Now!
The American Civil Liberties Union and the Center for Constitutional Rights have sued the Trump administration, seeking the release of the secret legal memo that's been used to justify the U.S. campaign targeting alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and the Pacific. The U.S. has struck at least 22 boats, killing 87 civilians.
Democracy Now! Weekday evenings at 11 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
WCPT replay.
WCPT AM 820 Chicago. That is the home of Richard Shue, who happens to be coming in the bar right now. Woohoo! We could all use a drink right now, Richard. It is absolutely insane. There's so much. You do the mornings at WCPT. We know how we deal with it. How do you deal with it?
Well, first of all, I mean, I give a lot of credit to us as a team. And I don't mean just CPT, but us as progressive liberal Democrats that are doing everything we can to uplift each other and support each other. When we find the connections that we have, we don't have to look very far. And we find out that that's where a lot of our strength comes from. When we stand together and lean into each other, and when we shoulder up like those folks from the civil rights movement did. That's how I'm able to do it. I stand on their shoulders.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Hey, everybody. You're joining us for our Driving It Home. This December 23rd, it was balmy in Chicago today. It was 51 degrees when I was out walking. Arad Boxenbaum joins us. He is an elected member of the library board in Geneva, Illinois. And are you the youngest ever elected, do we know, for the library board? Or is there somebody, did anybody check?
Probably. I mean, I was 19 when I was elected. So I've seen a few 19-year-olds who've been elected at the same time. So I think it's a tie, I would imagine. When I first ran for state representative in 2022, had I won that primary and gotten elected, I would have been the youngest ever elected to the Illinois General Assembly. So unfortunately, I've passed the age to be that, but it's fine.
Hey, who needs those kinds of records?
Exactly.
We were talking about what we're looking for in leadership from our Democrats in office, and one listener says, Patty, question, would any politician support a tax increase on millionaires making over $800 million and billionaires to pay a 75% tax increase, and corporations pay a 40% tax increase? If this bill was on the floor of representatives and senators, would vote yes or no, just yes or no for the people of the United States of America. That's Jim from Romeoville. I mean, it's a heavy lift. That's a heavy lift. I mean, under FDR, the tax rate, I believe, was 90% for the wealthiest, which JFK Jr. brought down to, I believe, like 74%, and then absolutely annihilated by, and where we lose so much ground for the middle class under Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm. It's so I am all for this affordability message, right? And I mean, Medicare for all, or generally talking about how things are just way too expensive, right? That's why Trump got elected. That's why these Trump voters, not just the hardcore Republicans, but the one that Democrats thought would be on their side, right? It was all about the affordability. And here we go. Donald Trump is president, and things are not more affordable. If anything, they're more expensive, right? And we have the president who doesn't care about that. He cares about attaching his name onto everything and anything and everything, right? So we need to talk about affordability. We need to lean very hard on affordability. It was very interesting to see Mamdani and Spanberger and Sherrill all run on affordability and get elected by some pretty solid margins, right? That's sign to me, whether you support Medicare for all or not, that is at the very least a sign that we need to be hammering home affordability, right? People are not going to know everything that happens in D.C. They're going to know what happens inside their checking accounts, and that's what we need to lean on. And taxing the rich, I mean, what's his name? Mitt Romney just posted an op-ed saying that he wants to be taxed more and that millionaires and billionaires should be taxed more. Mitt Romney is saying these things. So I think the tide is turning. I think there is more of an understanding of, you look at where the United States is relative to other developed countries. We're nowhere to be found when it comes to any kind of affordability. So yeah, we need to be hammering that home.
Yeah, I had this conversation with Richard Chu this morning. He hosts Chu's Views Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m., and I came in at 7 today. I'm tired, but I don't know how he does it. But he was he talks often to people leaving MAGA, right? Mm. So, I've talked to Joe Walsh. I point this way because I had him on Zoom over here, but I I'm not ready, right? I mean, and good for Mitt Romney. It's just not. He's
not
got
one of
so
us.
much more work. He's got
Oh, yeah.
so much more work to do. I mean, when he was running against
So
President
does Joe
Obama.
Walsh.
Oh, thank you. And he the nice thing is, I mean, Joe will tell you that over and over and over again. He'll like be specific about some of the things. Like for me, the crocodiles in the Rio Grande to stop immigrants. That he even acknowledges that when they did Alligator Alcatraz, was harkens to that same dehumanizing element that he was stirring up his base with. Yeah.
And Joe Walsh, the racial slurs that he was saying on air, I'm deeply, but I do believe at the very least that we need to be hammering home affordability, right?
Yes.
We need to be talking about these things. And I'm not sure if we should be spending so much time talking about taxing the rich. Right. If you're in a rural area like rural Wisconsin, rural Iowa, they've never seen a millionaire or billionaire. Right. Like they're not going to know. They're not going to care. That's not going to impact them. But if we talk about, every time you take an ambulance, it's going to cost you a few $1,000s for literally no reason. Yeah. Right. You go, God forbid you have any kind of major health problem. You're going to go bankrupt. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. You start there. Most people can agree about that, right? And then it's who do we talk to get that message across, right? We need to be talking to union leaders. We need to be talking to the heads of farm bureaus. A lot of those people at the farm bureaus, they're Republicans, but if you can convince them, if you can talk to them about affordability, they are usually some of the most trusted figures in these very red areas. And that's how you flip Trump voters.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, as you mentioned, is telling them, right, and whatever messaging that works. And back to Mitt Romney, one of the things I learned recently was how many radio stations his portfolio, his funds bought when he was running against Obama to quadrupled down. I mean, there are over 1,500 radio stations that are just conservative, and now I think it's another 700 that are religious stations that also then bring in conservative conversations. We are less than 100. So if Mitt, if you want to help spread the word about taxing you or affordability, get in the game, man. Put more skin in than just telling us that you want to. Yeah, don't tell us that you want to be taxed. Tell us what you're going to do to help affordability. Because you helped us get here.
I want to see him drop a few $1 million on candidates who will openly say that if elected, they will tax him more. Right? Put your money there. Like, get them elected. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, then I believe you. Like I believe Joe Walsh is doing the work, right? And I'm grateful for that. It's hard for me because I grew up in a household with a Democrat. My mom was a Democrat. My dad was a Republican, and I don't recognize these. Although I think I could see. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have. He didn't vote for Bush Jr. He voted for Gore, which I knew something was wrong. I was like, oh, we're near the end. But I think that he would not have been in on this. But he had like he was easily swayed by the bigotry. I mean, even though he married a Mexican woman, my dad was Irish. He still had the language of us against them. And that's been there for a long. I mean, it's not just Republicans. It's part of the way some, cultures evolve as tribalism and which okay, now I'm getting weird. But this whole thing about the loneliness problem for young men, right? I don't mean to bring it to you because you are a young man.
No problem.
But it is because I'm not in it, right? I'm Gen X.
It's also mostly not real.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
It's not real. No, I'm a heterosexual 24-year-old man. I'm not lonely. I don't have any problems with dating in large part because I'm not a bigot.
Let's see.
I shower. I go to therapy. I'm employed. I'm not an awful human being, right? No, a lot of these people who are talking about the male loneliness epidemic, and some of it is real. There is a serious problem when it comes to the mental health of young men. That is very true.
Sure.
I know of too many classmates who I've known since I was in the 5th grade who have committed suicide, right? Because I was a major nerd in high school. I was a trombone student leader. One of the freshmen who I mentored my junior year and then into my senior year, I found out that during the pandemic, while he was in high school, he committed suicide. So I know of way too many young men my age who have ended their lives prematurely, and just it is a serious problem. But that is a separate issue from what the right is calling the male loneliness epidemic, where women don't want to date men who voted Trump. I voted for Kamala Harris. I'm having no problem at all.
I'm gonna leave that right there and not add anything to. Don't say the things in your head. I have a son who's only 2 years younger than you, so I won't say the weird things. Although he just came back from New Orleans. If you ever have the opportunity,
it's beautiful.
Oh, you've been?
Oh yeah,
I'm in love. I've been there. Oh, I've been there many times. Just in a year, because my friend who is her parents are from Mexico. She just decided to move. She had to get out. She knew that even the beginning of the year, she felt that this was too precarious for her, for her parents. So she has packed up, and I was helping her over the last several months do that move. But and to your point about there is a. We know also from the gun violence, a friend of mine who does tremendous work, Daphne Scott, has a book out called Waking Up a Leader. And she talks a lot about how you put yourself out to the world. And she and I have talked about it's access to guns. It's sort of this desensitization to violence in whatever way that has manifested. Do you get a sense that you're one of the few that seeks therapy or can turn for help? Because was that something that was addressed in school? Because I know Illinois has got legislators that have worked really hard to make it more accessible.
It's in the context of mental health. I mean, it was always available, it was always there, but there were still societal stigmas. It's still very difficult for any man to go and ask for help, right? It's also, frankly, I think it's an example that is best set by parents, not so much teachers and these resources are available. When it comes to schools, there is no state that meets the required ratios for nurses to students, social workers to students, counselors to students, right? So when I was in high school, I was a high school of about almost 5,000 students. My social worker had a caseload of at least 100 students, right? It was very easy to feel like you were drowned out. Neither of my parents went to therapy. I reached a point where, I had gone through a breakup that was, really kind of, it was a good breakup, but I still felt like I needed to work on a lot of things, right? Sure. It was an example set by those around me. It was my older sibling, who's 29, almost 30 years old, talking about them going to therapy and talking about things that they've been through, right? So it is set peer to peer or parent to child, I would say, is usually best, but it is there slowly. And at the very least, we need to talk about allowing young men to voice their feelings in a more constructive way that is not in a matter of violence, right? Because we have a society that encourages violence, right, that tells men that you cannot cry. The only time you're allowed to have any kind of emotion is basically when your football team is doing well or when your football team is not doing well, right? Either pure joy, you're getting drunk and having a great time, or, you're angry, drunk, and you only know how to express your pain through violence. Right. You have that while living in a country where you can get a gun just about anywhere and everywhere. You could 3D print guns. You could order parts on Amazon and make them yourself, right? So you have a stick of dynamite and you have a powder keg right there, and you have a match. So we need to have a multi-pronged approach, talking about mental health and also having much better standards for gun ownership. I am a gun owner. I grew up surrounded by gun owners. Both of my parents served. The first time I shot a gun, I was 7 years old, and I feel like I'm naturally a very good shot. I would never, and I have never felt an urge to resort to violence in any scenario like that, right? So it is a very, very avoidable situation that we have put ourselves in as a country, right?
Really, yeah, I agree. It's Arad Boxenbaum, my guest co-host today. He's he's an elected member of the Library Board of Geneva, Illinois. He's also an advocate for gun violence prevention, which is a little bit what we're touching on as well. Pro-choice rights and pro-LGBTQ+, and is not for want for company. I mean, I don't know if that was the proper way.
Respect. You got to respect people.
Empathy.
Like, no, who wants to date someone who's going to be just so rude to them? Like, just why?
Dismissive and uninterested in their needs and
their rights,
dreams and rights, all those things. Let's take a break here. We'll open up the phone lines if we can, Lady B. 773-763-9278. That's the number to call or text. I'll also get to your text in just a moment. I just realized that some of you have been. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150 in Seattle. So thrilled to have you here on this lovely evening. Or whenever you're listening to the show, because some of you podcast it, and we appreciate that. You can listen to the show anywhere you podcast.
If you're an experienced homeowner who's outlived your assets or your spouse recently passed away, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local reverse mortgage lender. Alice, 90, widow, income $24,000 a year, living in a $500,000 home with no mortgage. Alice's husband recently passed away and she was terrified about losing her home, so her daughter called for information about a reverse mortgage. We helped Alice secure a reverse mortgage which allowed her to access $300,000 tax-free dollars so she could afford in-home health care. Let's review. Alice's husband recently passed away. She outlived her assets and thought she had to sell her home. Our reverse mortgage expert, Jose Rodriguez, helped Alice secure a reverse mortgage so she could afford in-home health care and peacefully age in place. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com, lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Hey, everybody. Arad Boxenbaum joining me in the studio. He's a member of the library board in Geneva, Illinois. Do you have like we were just talking about our social media platforms, and we're both, it sounds like, inconsistent with our videos. Talking to the camera feels weird.
It's so odd to me. It's also it's kind of exhausting. I mean, I'm also busy, and I try not to post angry. Right.
Yes,
I try to, hold my words. I want to run for something again. So
I hear that.
Yeah. Like I don't want these things like being spliced. So it's
good to be mindful of what you want to put out there. I mean, for me, it's rough because I have a 2-hour radio show. It's off the cuff. So anything that I say, I don't know that I ever want to run for office again. I don't think that's in the cards for me. I'm good. I'm good support crew. I love knocking on doors for folks and getting passionate about that stuff. But no, I think that I've done it. I've been through the grind, and I appreciate what I accomplished, and I'm proud to support good candidates like yourself.
Thank you.
So that's awesome. Jim in Chicago is calling in. Hey, Jim, how are you doing today?
Hi, Patty, and your guest. I was listening to Gershwin last night. I didn't realize that his parents got a rough time in Russia, and they were immigrants to the United States. And he wrote, he's my favorite American composer. He never would have the opportunity if America turned their back on him. But anyway, I was going to talk about Trump and the Monroe Doctrine. Now, here's an aging pedophile who has no idea of American history, that he's implementing the Monroe Doctrine, which is 200 years old. And what it does is it says we have domain over everything in the Western Hemisphere. That would mean, imagine that. Instead of what our usual policy was to be kindly neighbors, promote democracy, etc. Now he's got Venezuela surrounded, and he wants Greenland back. And remember the Panama Canal? That was a ginned up job by Roosevelt, the first Roosevelt. He ginned up a war there in Panama to get that canal. But the point is, those sins behind us. Going forward, I mean, I'm not worried about the Democratic Party. What I'm worried about is if we survive 3 years of this nut, and if he's got these insane people surrounding him, they might shit up a war. I've heard a Yale professor talking about World War III. He had a book out, and he said if anybody could accomplish it, it's this guy. I saw the UN today; they're up in arms. That's the first time I saw the UN up in arms since the Cold War, since I was a little kid. And Khrushchev used to come and he'd say, we're going to bury you, etc. But they're out of their skulls over this. Because remember, it's really now we have nuclear weapons and everything else, but the point is we have universal trade. You know what I mean? And the point is China deals with Venezuela, Russia deals with Venezuela. Everybody, we have brokers all. I mean, it isn't like the Monroe Doctrine when we were trading furs. You know what I mean? But I mean that's how insane this is. So I'm not worried about the Democratic Party as far as I'm concerned. I go back to 2020. Biden won by 81 million votes. That was the highest Democratic vote in the history of the United States. And I expect it to return, but I just hope that this guy is held in check for that long. Yeah. And anyway, you guys have a
good evening. Hey, Jim, I have a question for you, and I hope I'm not being too personal. If you don't mind me asking, you had mentioned not too long ago that you had decided to refrain from alcoholic beverages. Is that?
Yeah. I'm on the way. I'm on the wagon. Regrettably on the wagon. Regrettably on the wagon, but I go along. I go along with Roosevelt. Patty, the truth is, I had some relatives who could drink in their 80s and 90s. I got stoned with an aunt who was 93 years old. She drank me under the table and had to put me to bed. Because I was getting goofy. But the point is, my system. Yeah. But not only that, but I can't enjoy it like I used to. In other words, I used to like to command the bar, buy a few rounds, and shoot my mouth, whatever I was going to do. But those days, I just don't have the same. I don't want to climb the mountain over and over again. But anyway, Patty,
I hear you. Well, I'm glad you're taking care of yourself, and you sound great, my friend.
All right. Thank you. You and your guest, Patty. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Jim is one of the. You haven't met Dwayne Kennedy, have you? No. He has not been in studio lately because he's been performing all over the country, actually all over the world now. But he says sometimes he'll be home at night and think like, how's Jim doing? Just thinking about Jim. I will do wellness checks on Jim if I don't hear from him after a couple of days.
Amazing.
I want to let folks know. Now we were talking about social media, and I'm trying to post this video I made right before I walked in. Otherwise, it'll get away from me. Like if you just got to do it and get it done. Mm-hmm. But what do you like? Which is it still Facebook considered to be for the Gen Xers and up like me? Yeah,
it's not a Gen Z thing. Yeah, no. Facebook is not. I mean, TikTok and Instagram Reels, more so Instagram Reels, I would say.
Okay.
Because the concern with TikTok and now, the meddling the Trump administration is doing with TikTok and trying to sell it to like Oracle and stuff like that. And, trying to change the anti-American, communist Marxist rhetoric that he believes is coming from TikTok. Those people are going to Instagram Reels.
Okay.
So
I'm posting to Instagram Reels right now.
I highly recommend that. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out then it's like the nuances of like what he labeled. Hashtags are out now, right?
Yeah,
I've heard hashtags are dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Label caption is all you need, right? Mm-hmm. Walk me through this. Label caption. I've done it before, but I feel like I've just sort of fallen off the merry-go-round. I'll get it down. But here's the thing: is that I mentioned that off the air how you have to do the social media to grow your audience or your voter connections and things like that. We're seeing it, as you mentioned, with the congressional ninth. Kat Iwazala, who is a young social media content creator, and I believe she came here to challenge Congresswoman Schakowsky, and it ended up being an open race, which ended up being interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Personally, I am supporting Daniel Biss. I like him. I like his experience. I like all that.
He's really facing off with the ICE agents. I'll tell you something.
Yeah, and they credit to Kat for, I think, kind of putting a bit more energy into Biss. I can definitely, the fact that he's going to these protests, the fact that he's standing up and being very visible.
Yes.
I like that it is an actual meaningful visibility, right? It's no longer 2016, Hillary Clinton just, there's a video that makes the rounds on the internet of her just saying, oh, I'm chilling in Cedar Rapids, right? Like just the most condescending, fake kind of social media presence. No, it's more authentic to genuinely show up for your community. It is a lot less condescending to younger audiences, right? It is And that's why I think that, Joe Biden and other national Dems struggled with young candidates. The social media approach was condescending. So being authentic, where anger like that is hard to fake when you have the American Gestapo showing up in your community, dragging your neighbors away, that anger is authentic, right? When you stand up to them. So I really appreciate that. But my God, there's 17 candidates in that primary.
I forget about that sometimes. Mike Simmons, Laura Fine, Kat, and Biss are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. I know
Phil Andrews.
Oh, Phil Andrews.
Very sweet guy.
I had Phil Andrews in studio. I thought he did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And I love his background in FBI and law enforcement, but with a huge liberal leaning with gun control and women's rights. Interesting candidate.
Yeah, and so many candidates who I really hope that they stick around and in a capacity that is not just running for Congress, right? Run for local office, do other things, stay active, stay involved. If you are, there's some candidates who, of those 17, I've never heard of. I've probably read their name because I have like this spreadsheets of whoever's running. And I'm sorry, some of those candidates are not going to get more than a few hundred votes. Right. And they've never run for office anytime ever, only now, and they want to run for Congress. I'm like, no, run for your library board, run for your school board, right? Get involved locally. If you're running because you just want to be on MSNBC all the time, don't run for office. You're wasting people's time.
I agree. Let me take a break here. When we come back, we're going to check in with our good friend Mike Nellis, who has just taken off in this last year as a commentator and a strategist, kind of cueing people in. You can follow him on Substack. Subscribe for his newsletters and conversations that he has. We're in studio with Arad Boxenbaum. He's an activist, advocate for gun violence prevention, pro-choice rights, pro-LGBTQ+. This is your bio. He's an elected board member for the library board in Geneva, Illinois. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
At Straight Talk, we know the holidays are your time to say
yes.
So why put up with a wireless company that makes you say
out of data?
Or
no service here?
Switch to Straight Talk and say yes to real unlimited data on a reliable 5G network covered by Verizon. And with a free 5G phone when you activate select plans, someone else in your family can say yes! Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Based on RootMetrics State of 5G Report, United States 1H 2025. Experiences may vary. Not an endorsement of Verizon. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Powerful winter storms are expected to douse California with relentless rain, heavy winds, and snow this week. Watches and warnings out from the Sacramento Valley all the way to Southern California. Ariel Cohen with the National Weather Service.
The brunt of the rainfall is expected to occur right through Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. My bottom line point, if you're planning to be out on the roads during the Christmas holiday, please reconsider your plans. By the time we get to late Wednesday through Friday, many areas will likely be experiencing significant flooding along with rock slides and mudslides.
In eastern Pennsylvania, emergency crews jumped into action this afternoon. Hai Panjwani has a report.
Authorities are responding to a reported explosion at a nursing home just outside Philadelphia that collapsed part of the building and that people were believed to be trapped inside. A plume of black smoke rose from Silver Lake Healthcare Center in Bristol Township as emergency responders across the region gathered. Musaline Watson is a certified nursing assistant at the center.
There was a loud explosion, and they told all of us to get back. And that's how I came back.
You have co-workers in there?
Co-workers in there. I'm calling them, and they're not answering. I tried to get through, but, the officers, they said, no, I should get past them, because it could still be dangerous.
Bucks County emergency management officials say there were injuries but had yet to report any fatalities. Audio courtesy of WPPI TV, ABC 6. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The Commerce Department reports the economy expanded at a strong 4.3% annual rate from July through September. Consumer spending, exports, and government spending all growing. That news boosted stocks, the S&P closing at another all-time high. But the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index is sagging again amid concerns over high prices and the impact of tariffs. This is AP News. The NHL and NBA have a bunch of pre-Christmas games tonight. The NBA back on Christmas Day, as is the NFL. Gethin Coolball recaps Monday Night Football.
Brock Purdy tossed a career-high 5 touchdowns to lead the 11-4 49ers in a 48-27 rout of the Colts.
On the road, tough environment, Monday Night Football, Phillip Rivers, they got some momentum over there and stuff, so just a huge win for us.
The 44-year-old Rivers had 2 TDs in his first home start since re-signing with the Colts, whose 5th straight loss sent the Bills, Jaguars, and Chargers into the playoffs.
I'm torn of how to express it because it's been a blast. It's been a blast to prepare and to go so you can get ready and go out there and warm up and do all that with these guys again. But again, the name of the game is not, go have a good time. It's to help find a way to lead your team to win. And we've come up short here these first 2.
I'm Gethin Coolball.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with the low temperature of 33 degrees and northeast winds at 5 to 10. Wednesday, areas of fog and drizzle, a little bit of light rain as well, with a high temperature of 42. Wednesday night, fog and drizzle continue for Christmas Eve, a low of 37. Christmas Day, cloudy and mild, high temperature of 40 degrees, about 5 degrees above average. Friday, chance of rain, with a high of 48. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 46.
Is credit card or other debt making it difficult to pay your rent or mortgage? Home insecurity is often the unintended consequence of an inability to pay mounting credit card debt, student loans, or medical debt. But by working with a nonprofit credit counselor, you can avoid or reduce the risk of eviction or foreclosure while tackling debt for good. For more information about how nonprofit credit counseling can help, visit nfcc.org. Made possible in part by the nonprofit Wells Fargo Foundation.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kid. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
At home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us for this drive home. I'm super excited to kick this off. I want to say hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're thrilled to have you join us, and our friends in Seattle on KKNW 1150 AM. And we're in studio right now with our friend Arad Boxenbaum, and it's so exciting because I've got a couple of great political minds with us. Because also joining us is Mike Nellis, who is a pioneering social impact entrepreneur and former senior advisor to Vice President Kamala Harris. You've heard him regularly on the Stephanie Miller Show. You can follow him on Substack. Subscribe to his Substack to stay up to date on everything he's doing. Mike, Arad, want to introduce you guys first. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Hanging in there.
There we go. Yeah, no, it's
happy friggin' holidays, everybody. It's madness. What? I know there's a lot going on, Mike. Where in the world are you now? Are you able to celebrate the holidays traveling, or are you hunkering down for the week?
I am in the city of Chicago before I head home to Nebraska, where I grew up, and believe it or not, I am sitting in a car outside the Fox News studio because I'll be doing Fox News right after I do your show.
Oh my gosh! What time are you doing Fox? You're on.
I think my hit's at 7:10 with whoever's guest hosting for Jesse Waters tonight.
Oh my gosh!
Oh Jesus!
How often? I know you're doing a lot more of these. I can't. Okay, how do you mentally prepare for an experience like this?
Well, I'm dead inside, so there's nothing they can say that can get to me. No, the true answer is I grew up in a very conservative household. I have my dad is a 3-time Trump voter, former FBI agent, and there is nothing that they can say to me in any tone that will be worse than the stuff my dad yelled at me politically when I told him I was a Democrat.
Wow. And he's still holding to it? He's still all in?
I mean, I wouldn't describe him as all in. I think he's not a particular fan of Donald Trump, but he certainly does not like the Democratic Party.
Oh, boy. Where in Nebraska did you grow up?
I grew up in Omaha.
Oh, Omaha. Nice. I've been there a few times. So, yeah, there's a competitive congressional there.
Yeah. I've worked that race many times. Unfortunately, I'm like 0-3 every time I've done it. So.
I work for this nonprofit, and I have some leaders in Omaha, and they're exactly the same. It's like, I don't want to give to these candidates only for them to lose to Don Bacon by less than 5 points. And now that he's retiring, even then they're still just like, I don't know. Yeah, but
there's so many good candidates running in that race right now. John Kavanaugh is a state senator. I've known him for 20 years. I think he's a really good dude. And I think if there was anybody who could flip this seat in this cycle, but also hold on to it for a couple of races, it'd be somebody like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
No doubt. That sounds. I'm excited about a lot of the races across the country. I'm less excited about the way the Epstein files have been unpacked for us. What a disaster. Which we always knew it would be. So what are your thoughts on the way? I mean, the latest thing I'm hearing today was about this Larry Nassar, this letter from Jeffrey Epstein in the days before he took his life. That he was writing to Larry Nassar that if you've gotten this, I've taken the quick trip or whatever, alluding apparently to dying by suicide, and that the president shares our pleasure of girls before they reach. I mean, it's just and now I guess the DOJ is saying it's fabricated. What I don't understand this new piece. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, well, this continues to be the weirdest, dumbest scandal I've ever seen in the history of the United States. So the DOJ, which has been shockingly untransparent, if untransparent is even a word, in releasing any of this stuff, puts out a ton of things that mention and reference Donald Trump in the middle of the night. It was like at 2 a.m. And there's this weird Larry Nassar letter, which I sort of agree feels fake to me. And the DOJ now, a full 12 hours later, saying, yeah, the letter is fake. But why did they release it in the first place? And the question, I just have so many questions about this. Is like, where did you get it? Who sent it? Why did you release it? Why did you release it with no context if you knew it was fake? Like, what are they doing? And more importantly, beyond all the drama of, Trump this, Trump that, whatever they're releasing on any given day, is anybody actually going to be held accountable for the hundreds of young women, young girls, and young boys who were trafficked and abused by everybody who's a part of this, Democrat or Republican? Because it doesn't feel like this DOJ or any DOJ over the last couple of years has taken these crimes seriously. And so I'm just sort of over the up and down of it. And I'm like, is anybody going to go to prison besides Ghislaine Maxwell before she gets a pardon?
Why is it that there are so few names are being released here, aside from Bill Clinton for just the purely political jab, right? Why is it one of the documents that was released recently described a list of 10 co-conspirators, and the only name that it seems was not redacted was this guy with Victoria's Secret. Right, but there are 9 other names of Epstein co-conspirators, and those names are redacted. I'm like, why? If these people were a part of a pedophilic sex trafficking ring, the entire world should know. You should drag them in front of Congress. You should drag them into trial, and hopefully you drag them into jail if they're still alive. Right, like that. That is such a slam dunk, and all of this it seems like they've redacted the names because they don't want them to be hauled in front of Congress. They don't want a camera in front of their faces because, God forbid, they say the name Donald J. Trump. That is exactly it. It is purely political and just such a disgrace for the entire country.
I think it's that, and I'd like to just yes and you for a second, because absolutely they're protecting Donald Trump and they're protecting Steve Bannon and Elon Musk and all the other people that we know in Trump's orbit who were a part of this. More importantly, though, we have a two-tier justice system right now. We have a group of wealthy, powerful, well-connected individuals who feel like they are above the law and they can do whatever they want. And I'll go all the way back to 2008 and the financial crisis for a second, because how many lives were destroyed? How many homes were taken away from people because of the criminality on Wall Street in 2008 and the preceding years. And how many people went to prison? 0. Now you've got what is essentially potentially the largest pedophilia ring, certainly in the history of the United States that I'm aware of, and nobody is going to go to prison for it, all right? Jeffrey Epstein's dead. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole of conspiracy theory. Ghislaine Maxwell is absolutely going to get a pardon on Donald Trump's on the way out the door, and nobody's going to be held accountable for this. And this is why when you talk to the third of Americans who don't vote, they go, the system's rigged, nothing changed, nothing matters. And frankly, I don't blame them. Like, I'm sitting here frustrated and wondering if it matters whether or not I vote to hold these people accountable.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so freaking much. I know that you do a lot of great work on Substack. Folks are really engaged in your writing. What are people responding to the most, would you say? Is it the Epstein files? Is it the response to Rob Reiner's murder? Is it the turning point this past weekend with the bizarreness there? I can't even. What are people grabbing onto the most in your opinion? Or is it all it's all scattershot now?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that sometimes I joke that my show has become Epstein, and more Epstein, the worst law firm you've ever heard of. So we talk about and cover that quite a bit, and it's something that's important to me because I care less about the politics of it. I don't actually know that the Epstein scandal is good for the Democrats, quote unquote, when you do the weird sort of, scoring points that we do. But I think it's important for the country that we make this clear, like what we're willing to tolerate and what we're not willing to tolerate, because pedophilia from the White House or otherwise should not be accepted in the country. I will say, though, I've had a ton of engagement on this Nicki Minaj stuff over the last couple of days because, look, you can feel however you want about Nicki Minaj, but it's amazing to me that she found her conservative voice just as she was about to lose her $20 million home, and her husband and her brother both need a pardon, and her immigration status is on the hook. So to me, it's funny watching all the MAGA influencers online celebrate how culturally relevant they are because they got Nicki Minaj to show up to a TPUSA event. But it's the same thing as Russell Brand. Like, Russell Brand was a typical Hollywood elite liberal until he got credibly accused multiple times, by the way, including twice today, of sexual assault. And then suddenly he's an anti-woke crusader desperately begging for attention because he needs money and power. So, this is the same thing, and it's going to happen. And I think it creates a broader problem in our society, which is you can go out and be the real version of yourself, and you can try to take a risk to start a business or become a celebrity, become an actor, whatever it is. And if you fail, you can always just become a conservative grifter. You can always just show up at TPUSA, talk about how handsome J.D. Vance is, give Erica Kirk a high five, and you'll be fine, and they'll provide plenty of money for you because that's what they do. They pay for that. I'm not being paid for this right now because I actually believe the things that I say. Right. And these people don't.
Yeah. No, agreed. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm curious to hear your opinion on this. I every time I hear the dam's going to break, right? All these Trump supporters, Epstein's going to be the one, that's how the dam breaks. Yep. Or, the East Wing or Rob Reiner. Do you think the dam will ever break? What will convince your hardcore MAGA family to say, you know what, I am never voting for anyone aligned with Trump ever again. I regret voting for him. Do you think we will ever reach that stage? And or do you think that if we do reach that stage, it'll be too late for us as a country?
Well, one, that's a huge question.
Sorry.
And so
solve all our problems.
You're good. Sorry. You're right. I don't think it'll ever be too late for us as a country because at the end of the day, even with a lot of people that I disagree with, this is a great country filled with amazing people who are super resilient. We've overcome 2 world wars, the Great Depression, jazz. I'm just kidding. But we've overcome so many things in this country. Jazz really taking a shot there. That was really unfair of me. I should have said swing dancing or something. But I think. No, the dam is not breaking. And I think what you find is that there are a ton of influencers on the left where everything that happens, they're like, oh, my God, MAGA's falling apart. And, oh, my God, Trump's finally going to – no, he's not. Trump is going to be president for the next 3 years. And I think we need to stare that in the face and look into the abyss and be aware and mindful of what that means for this country and start figuring out how we're going to fix it. And, yes, MAGA's probably going to stay together at least through Trump's presidency, but it's not going to be the same coalition that delivers the next Republican presidency, whenever that is. And there's going to be people that we can win back. And I think we also have to keep in mind that for as loud as all of the MAGA people are in this country, and God, they're so loud, so many of them are, they are not the majority, and they're not as big as you think that they are. So there are a lot of people like my dad, and look, I love my dad. We and I have disagreements. I've had him on my show multiple times. I don't know that I can ever get him to vote for a Democrat, but I know I could get him to stand up for what's right, to stand up for democracy and the rule of law and stuff like that. And a lot of people equate the two. I get it. I think we can win people like that back over if we offer meaningful solutions to solve their problems, because the vast majority of people right now are just getting killed in this economy. The job market's terrible. They can't afford to put food on the table, let alone just be able to thrive, like take a vacation, feel like they can retire, make sure their kids have enough Christmas presents right now. So I think we need to keep doing that. And what we can't let happen is that we create like this reverse mirror image version of the Democratic Party where we're like MAGA, where we forget why we got into this and who we're fighting for and what we're trying to accomplish, and we have no policy solutions. I worry about that, about a soulless Democratic Party that cares more about winning just to win or owning the right just to own the right. That scares the heck out of me, and I want nothing to do with it.
100%.
Same. Let's take a break here. Get time for another segment, because I know you're hanging out by Fox Studios. We are talking to our friend Mike Nellis. He's a political strategist. Remind folks of the company that you run, so that in case they want to take a look and maybe, secure your services.
Yeah, if you're running for office, I run a company called Authentic. You can find us at authentic.org. We're one of the largest digital fundraising and advertising firms in the space. And if you want to find me on Substack, I'm at endlessurgency.com.
Endlessurgency.com. And what social medias are we sharing, Arad? Your TikTok?
Oh, boy. I mean, I got into using my full name when I started running for office. My website is Vote Arad still. So vote and then ARAD, D as in dog. But you could also just search up Arad Boxenbaum, very long name, ARAD, D as in dog, BOXENBAUM. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram.
You and I have to hold each other accountable for doing better on social media.
I have a carrier pigeon at some point. I need to get one. So if that's the handle you need, there we go.
Excellent. All right. Stand by, everybody. We're going to continue our conversation with Mike Nellis, a host of Endless Urgency. Find him on Substack. Subscribe. Be a paid subscriber and support the work that he does. And we are in studio with Arad Boxenbaum, elected board member of the library board in Geneva, Illinois. More in a moment on WCPT, KKNW, and 1150.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
COPD is something most people don't think about until they get older, but it can crop up in younger people as well. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It's actually a group of lung diseases that cause airflow limitations, making it difficult to breathe. And while it's true that smoking is the #1 risk factor for developing COPD, non-smokers can develop it as well. Early warning signs include having recurrent lung infections, like acute bronchitis or pneumonia, new or worse shortness of breath, a cough that brings up mucus and phlegm, wheezing, chest tightness, and fatigue. Now, if any of these things ring a bell for you, talk to your doctor about getting tested for COPD. That chronic cough may be more than just a nuisance. As is the case for any disease, prompt diagnosis is crucial to early treatment. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
At Straight Talk, we know the holidays are your time to say
yes.
So why put up with a wireless company that makes you say
out of data?
Or
no service here?
Switch to Straight Talk and say yes to real unlimited data on a reliable 5G network covered by Verizon. And with a free 5G phone when you activate select plans, someone else in your family can say yes! Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Based on RootMetrics State of 5G Report, United States 1H 2025. Experiences may vary. Not an endorsement of Verizon. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Sniffles and sneezes got you down? GoodRx is here to help with big savings on commonly prescribed cold and flu meds. GoodRx is free and easy to use. GoodRx is accepted at all major pharmacies like CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens. Just search your prescription, find a coupon, then show your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx is not insurance, but it works whether you have insurance or not. If you do, GoodRx may beat your copay price. Download the free app or visit goodrx.com to save today.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our drive home. Joining me in studio is guest co-host Arad Boxenbaum, elected member of the library board in Geneva, Illinois. And on the line with us, we have Mike Nellis. He's the host of Endless Urgency on Substack. And if you're running for office, make sure that you are checking out his company, Authentic. I'm trying to find the website again. Is it Authentic?
Authentic.org.
Well, that's new. You got that site early, didn't you? Authentic.org. They're a leading digital-first fundraising and advertising agency serving Democratic campaigns and progressive causes across the United States. Arad just pulled up a story that I think has been running today that folks might be familiar with. Go ahead, Arad.
The Trump administration, this is according to the New York Times, has saying that in early 2026 they will begin to garnish wages from student loan borrowers. Yeah. We talked about affordability. We talked about how difficult it is to afford just a basic cost of living, and difficult to afford a home, and all this and that. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, if you have a few $1 million, you can get out of anything. It really goes to your point that we have a two-tiered justice system. We have a two-tiered economy as well.
It's also just it's just an incredibly stupid thing to do. I mean, let's just talk about the politics of it for a second. If you look at where the biggest movement has been of people who do not like this administration, it is young people. People under 30, particularly young men, are turning against this administration. Doesn't mean they're suddenly Democrats, by the way. I think we have to be careful. Like, we live in a system where you only have one choice or the other, but I think we'll get them in the end. But we have to be engaging with these folks. And Donald Trump is like, well, I'm just going to start garnishing your wages because you can't afford to pay now. And he has destroyed the job market with his tariffs. He's made everything more expensive, and he refuses to acknowledge the economic reality. I mean, they're spending all day today. The GDP report was marginally higher than the economic expectations for the growth of the economy. And they're out there hailing the success of the Trump economy. But the GDP doesn't equate to wage growth. It doesn't equate to job creation. It doesn't equate to cost. So the average person isn't going to see any benefit to the economy getting larger because we have so much income inequality that the traditional economic indicators don't mean the same thing that they did 40 years ago. Democrats fell in the same trap because Joe Biden talked about the GDP all the time, talked about the stock market all the time. And I'm not saying you can't talk about those things, but the average person has less and less investment in the stock market, less and less investment in the GDP, and they're just living off of the scraps right now. Now they're going to go after and garnish your wages because you can't afford to pay your student loan bills. Like, people who aren't paying because they're lazy. They're not paying because they don't want to pay. Most people want to meet their obligations to their lenders, whether it's a credit card or a student loan debt or their parents or something like that, but they can't do it because everything's so expensive. And I saw another story today, if you'll permit me, that the average monthly cost of getting a car right now is risen to $750 a month. And
my God.
That is not a tolerable amount. Now, maybe people are out there all buying Bentleys and BMWs, but I don't think so. I think that's how expensive it is to get a car now. And they're spending so much time trying to get people in this country to believe that their equity doesn't lie in buying a house. It lies in getting a car. And we all know that cars depreciate in value, and so your equity is useless by the end of it. And it's just such a bad place to be in, especially if you're somebody who's under 30. You're just getting killed.
Wow. Yeah. And I mean, we're talking about young people and specifically young men. I mean, this is a question that we hear as well all the time. How do we win back young men? Like, what do we talk about, right? Like, how do we engage on these things? For me, we were talking about Turning Point. We don't have an equivalent on the left. There is no Dem version of Turning Point USA. Like, we have the college Dems. I'm like, that's not the same at all, right? How do we engage, truly as close to 24/7 as possible to win back young men? In the case of like Turning Point USA is always engaging, regardless of election cycle. They are having these conferences. They're crashing Grindr every time, right? How do we engage with young men and win back young men? Because I say this as a 24-year-old, I almost said 25, as a 24-year-old young man, most of my friends did not vote for Trump. It was an easy vote for Kamala Harris, right? So I'm not in these kinds of circles. So how do we win these?
So I'm going to give you a hot take on Turning Point in particular, which is that Turning Point's biggest audience is like old men who are conservative. Like, they have been. And listen, I think there are separating out the man from the moment for a second. What happened to Charlie Kirk was horrible, and there are things that he did that are admirable is the wrong word, but are like repeatable in the sense that like I can look at him as a content creator and go, wow, there's some things that I think we should emulate there. But what they've done with Turning Point is they've tried to turn it into this thing that like it's what elected Donald Trump. It's turning a generation of men towards the conservative movement. It's really not. And I think that's just been overwhelmed. A big part of the reason we got our butts handed to us with young people in this last election, and it isn't just young white men. I think that these conversations over-index to white men, but we lost a lot of like black and brown young men too, is the economy was bad. Yes. And who was the face of the economy? It's the president of the United States, which was Joe Biden. Yeah. And Biden didn't do a very good job of addressing people's concerns. And you can feel however you want about that. I get yelled at all the time when I talk about it, but it is true. Now the face of that is Donald Trump. He promised everything was going to get less expensive on day one, and he hasn't. So my view of this is if you want to win back anybody in this economy, it's going to be who's the political party that can create a series of policies that are going to allow the average couple to start a family on one income where they can buy a house and they can take care of themselves and they can retire. And that doesn't mean we go back to this like BS Leave It to Beaver stuff where like the woman's in the kitchen and the man goes to work. I don't think we have to go back to that stuff, but we do need to get to a place where people can actually thrive economically and take a vacation and all of that. There is some cultural stuff that I would say is that the Democratic Party's been really afraid to talk about the problem it has, particularly with young men, and it's been talked to death over the last year now after the election. But I often talk about, I'm a big fan of The Simpsons. I don't know if either of you are a fan of The Simpsons, but there's an episode where they flash back to Ned Flanders as a kid, and he's like a terrible kid that like doesn't listen, and his parents are like hippie beatniks, and they talk to a therapist, and they're like, we've tried nothing, and we're all out of ideas. And that's basically the Democratic Party when it comes to men. Like they talk about it maybe, but they don't try anything and they're too afraid. And when I co-founded White Dudes for Harris, a big part of the reason we did that was because nobody wanted to talk about it. And when we did it, everybody was like, you're crazy. White men don't need a seat at the table. Everything's built for white men. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But like, we don't need to make sure that everybody feels welcomed in the tent. And I would encourage people like go read like Scott Galloway's new book about young men and boys. And I think it's helpful to understand the challenges that a lot of people are facing. But he makes this point in the book. If you go to the Democratic Party's website right now, they've got a section for basically everybody, black men, black women, LGBT community, disabled community, as they absolutely should. I'm not advocating that they get rid of that, but they don't have one for young white men. They don't have one for white men, period. And what message does that send? You're not welcome in the tent. And I think that's a problem because just like there are unique things that the black community goes through, the Hispanic community goes through, other communities go through, there are unique things that men go through, that young men go through. And we should be talking about that, and we should be offering that up as part of the broader collective of what we're doing, especially if we're going to do this identity politics approach, which we can argue the efficacy of that. But I want to make sure that we're creating the biggest possible tent because otherwise the Republicans get a one-sided conversation with a group of people that is not insignificant in the country. And I know I've been rambling. If you'll permit me one more thought here, I make this case to people all the time is you hear this phrase, and I think it's absolutely true, that black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. It is absolutely true. I'm not taking anything away from that, but I want you to think about the raw numbers for a second, which is in this last election, Kamala Harris got about 89% of black women in the election, which was a slight erosion from Joe Biden 4 years ago. And then she got 41% of white men, which was actually a slight gain. She did a little bit better with white men in this last election. In terms of just pure raw numbers, that's twice as many white men voted for Kamala Harris as black women, because that's how many white men there are in the country. So if you want to bring back some sanity to our politics, you want to bring back Roe v. Wade, you want to move the ball forward, you need a lot of these folks to realize that they've been bought in on something that isn't working, that is bad for them and bad for their countrymen and women. And I think we can do that, but we have to try. We got to show up.
I agree completely. That's Mike Nellis. You can check out all his great work. We encourage you to check out the Endless Urgency, correct, on Substack?
Yes, endlessurgency.com.
Endless Urgency, and authentic.org if you are running for office. He's one of they do incredible work getting Democrats and progressives elected across the country. And he's going to be, I know our friend Dan Schaefer, who's also a guest co-host here and fill-in host, tunes into Jesse Waters. So you're coming on at 7:05?
7:10, I think, is what I've been told.
Do you know what
I have to go into makeup now, and they got to make me look pretty.
Okay, go be pretty. Do you know what you're talking about? What are you going to talk about? Because I don't know if I can watch.
I was told it was a Festivus segment, so I don't really know what that means. So.
Festivus for the rest of us. All right. Go get him, Mike. We'll be tuning in. Everyone tune in if you can. Please do.
Thank
you.
For
Mike Nellis. And we'll talk to you again soon, my friend. Thank you so much for your insight and time. Appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation with Arad Boxenbaum, elected board member of the Library Board in Geneva, Illinois. And we've got a lot more to talk about. We want to talk a little bit about a video that David Hogue put out about the Democratic Party of the United States. He's got some thoughts.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy skies tonight with the low temperature of 33 degrees and northeast winds at 5 to 10. Wednesday, areas of fog and drizzle, a little bit of light rain as well, with a high temperature of 42. Wednesday night, fog and drizzle continue for Christmas Eve, a low of 37. Christmas Day, cloudy and mild, high temperature of 40 degrees, about 5 degrees above average. Friday, chance of rain, with a high of 48. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 45.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
Heart health has become a highly profitable business. Dr. John Santa, director of the Health Ratings Center for Consumer Reports, says you should be skeptical of the growing wave of cardiac tests and treatments that are being marketed to aging baby boomers.
Regular EKGs, stress test done again as a regular preventive test, not a good test. Ultrasounds of the blood vessels in the neck or the abdomen, CT angiograms of the heart blood vessels. It's expensive, exposes you to radiation, but most worrisome, it can suggest to a doctor that you need some kind of treatment that we don't know will be helpful to you and could be risky.
And the heart health tests that Dr. Santa does recommend?
High blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes. Those tests are terrific. Folks need to be doing something about them if they're positive.
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Tell me how you're doing, really. Tell me that you missed the bus this morning, your rent's past due, and your stress level has skyrocketed. I'm here for you, to listen, not judge, to connect you to local mental health resources. No matter what you're going through, specialists like me from NAMI Chicago Helpline are here for you. Call or text Helpline to 833-626-4244. That's 833-626-4244.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or
and Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
And we are in studio with guest co-host Arad Boxenbaum. Arad, let me ask you a question. Do you like hot fried chicken sandwiches?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, my God, so do I. There's a great, if you had a chance, I don't know if you've had a chance, but Fry the Coop is Chicagoland's answer to hot chicken. The fast casual chicken shop brings the heat with its simple cooked-to-order menu. Whether you want it crazy hot or no heat, Country Fry the Coop satisfied your fried chicken fix. Signature sandwiches include the Nashville hot chicken, chicken and cheese sandwich, Chicago hot chicken sandwich, donut fried chicken, donut.
That sounds
your
amazing.
bun is a donut.
Oh, my God.
I'm just saying. A donut fried chicken sandwich and spicy butter fried chicken sandwich. Fry the Coop has 10 locations in the Chicagoland area, open daily. Visit frythecoop.com or follow them on Instagram at frythecoop. And right now, I have a $30 gift card to give away at 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. Give us a call, and we will, hopefully, you might win the card. Caller number two. caller number 2-773-763-9278. I feel bad because I didn't give anybody the heads up. I'm very clumsy at giveaways, so I was trying to do that the most like out of the gate and just do the read and then do the contest. Oh, I have to do this part. Listeners, contests running on WCPT are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. 1 entry per person, 1 winner per household. Void or prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available at our website at WCPT820.com by clicking the contest tab. I would talk very fast. That's my one trade. So Arad, we were talking a little bit off the air about some of the work that you do and how we're trying to get more Democrats elected across the country. And there was a shuffling of seats for leadership in the Democratic Party nationally over the last year. And I think a lot of people were hoping that Ben, who was the Wisconsin? A lot of folks were kind of rooting for him. Felt like he might bring in some new blood, to Mike Nellis's point, a sense of urgency. And instead, we got was it Kevin Martin of Minnesota, who I guess decided we weren't going to do sort of an autopsy on the election. We're not going to change things. We're going to just plow ahead and basically, as I mentioned earlier, continue to be in this sort of trapped state of victimhood as Democrats.
Yeah. I mean, first thing, when it comes to the DNC, as Democrats, I think we should also understand that the RNC is also incredibly weak and does not.
Ooh, that is good to know.
Yeah. I don't know who the chair of the RNC is, and I'm a political nerd, right? It's
a good point. Me neither.
Exactly. It's really, if you want to talk about, okay, the urgency from senators, okay, then your issue is Chuck Schumer, right? With the House, then it's Hakeem Jeffries. But I also think that, and I said this earlier in the show, the real change within the Democratic Party will come from the amazing candidates who we elect to flip these seats from red to blue. Right, it's going to be Rebecca Cook. It's going to be Christina Bohannon. Right, there is going to be in 2018, there was this wave of amazing young women, who got elected. It lowered the average age of Congress. It made the Democratic Party a lot more diverse, right? Diverse in terms of demographics, but also in terms of background. I think about Lauren Underwood. Her background is as a nurse, right? And now she's founded the Black Maternal Health Caucus, right? So we are going to have a new wave of younger people running for, running in competitive seats. Yes, there will be some incumbents who get primaried, things like that. David Hogg has been very focused on that and talking about, we need to primary, whatever. It's ironic because I ran against an incumbent, but I think that we need to have justifiable primary challenges.
Right.
I don't like this notion of, okay, any member of Congress over 70 should have. I disagree with that. I think there are some who should, the ones who. I think the best example is Mitch McConnell, even though he's a Republican who has mini strokes live on air.
He freezes repeatedly.
It's a mess, right? So you have members of Congress like that who just don't have the mental capacity. You have members of Congress who, when I ran for state rep, the guy I ran against didn't have staff for the longest time. And that's why I ran against him. You don't have constituent service staff. Now he does, and they're doing a great job. I'll give him that, right? So. It's those are the kinds of justifiable primaries. But if you want real meaningful change, you need to help flip these seats blue. That is where the change will come from, because that's who Hakeem Jeffries has to listen to the most, right? He's going to listen to other leadership, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the member of Congress who flipped a seat in 2026 in a district that Trump won. How do they sell things back to their voters? Because Hakeem Jeffries does not want to go back to being the opposition leader again, right? That's where you get that change.
Yeah, I think, and I think that when AOC ran, it seemed like that was a Democrat that really needed, clearly she identified it, did the work, and continues to serve. What are your thoughts on what's going on in places like Texas with the gerrymandering? Obviously, thankfully, Indiana held the line on that, and the Republicans who were brave enough to say no.
Amidst death threats.
Yeah.
And I hope that there are more Republicans like that, right? I hope that there are Republicans who recognize that there will be a Republican Party after Trump. And when that time comes, these Republicans are going to have to answer not just to Republicans, but to Democrats and to the entire country as to why you changed the maps like this. So when it comes to Texas, I mean, I hate gerrymandering, and I say this living in Illinois, heavily gerrymandered state, right? But we're not remapping mid-decade, right? And I'll say this, you can say whatever you want about Democrats and gerrymandering. Every Democrat voted to ban gerrymandering federally just a few years ago.
Yeah.
How many Republicans joined them? 0. So, what's happening in Texas is a mess. I hope it blows up in their face. I hope it's what's called a dummy mander, where, in a case of a special election, like the ones we're seeing we got within 8% of a deep red seat in Tennessee.
Yep.
Right.
Bain, sure.
These Republican members of Congress, these Republican state legislators who are redistricting, they're biting off a lot more than they can chew. And they're going to have to deal with some strong candidates in red areas on the Democratic side, with the wind with the political winds on the backs of these Democrats. So good luck to them.
I'm curious to see how this race shapes up between, and it's a primary, obviously, with James Tallarico. He's a state legislator, and of course, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who I believe was mapped out of her district. Is that I don't know if. Or eliminated her district? I can't. I'm trying
to remember. Yeah,
it was definitely impacted, but and I haven't even been able to keep track of all the states that have now done the gerrymandering. You know what we don't hear about? I just realized we haven't heard a peep out of DeSantis.
He's irrelevant because he got destroyed in the primary,
he really did.
And he just keeps from what I understand, he's unpopular in his own state. I don't believe he's running for re-election. I think he might be term limited.
Yeah, I think so.
He's not considered to be a 2028 contender. He could have there's an open Republican Senate seat.
Right.
He didn't put himself in there. So I honestly, best of luck in the private sector.
Yeah.
Go make your millions and leave us alone, please.
Yeah, no doubt. And then there's just so many things. We're gonna take a call in a moment. I didn't want to slam our caller into the break. Give folks a little bit of time since I'm grateful when folks want to join the conversation. So the coming back to the turning point, and the DeSantis is not a viable candidate. How creepy that she's like, we're gonna elect JD Vance, and wow, and I'm seeing more images from MAGA, because it does come up in my feed, because I do have so much interaction with MAGA that they have, like, I think it's because Trump is 47, so JD Vance are like 47, 48. Then they have, I don't know who was after that, and then Hegseth in the back to like be the president after that. I'm like, this, and it's, and believe me, for those who are hate listening, because I know that you're there, I don't tolerate, and I don't know if I'm catching every single time about the language of eliminating people from the other party. I like, we have to destroy them. We have to eradicate. Like, I don't see it, and so maybe I'm not, and I'm not saying it's not there. And I don't know if I'm also being sort of poked by trolls, right? People who want us to be that divisive and think that they're saying we should be annihilated, right? But it does seem like there's a lot of it. I mean, there's a lot of it. That's the thing, and I encountered this when I was an undergrad at DePaul, because I was doing some like organizing on campus for Joe Biden, which, with how left-wing the DePaul campus is, people called me a Republican for supporting Joe Biden, just hilarious. But right. I did have Republicans who openly called me their enemy. Yeah.
I'm like, I am not your enemy. I'm your fellow American. I am your opposition at the very worst.
Right.
Right. Like, we are in the same country and this and that. But when it comes to Kirk and whatever is going on with her and JD Vance, they keep learning, and both parties keep forgetting this lesson of no one likes the just appointing your next leader before there's any kind of votes. There's a very good chance, because JD Vance just seems like the most unlikable. He's a sponge. He has no personality. Like, I could get some moldy cardboard with a better personality than him and more electability than him. And like, I imagine there's a lot of Republican voters, MAGA voters, who are notoriously anti-establishment, because Trump was the anti-establishment candidate before he took it over. I'm sure they would not be the biggest fans of Vance just being anointed like that. There's a lot who would want Vivek Ramaswamy. There's some who would want, whoever who comes along. So best of luck to Erica Kirk and trying to do whatever it is that she's trying to do.
Be first lady. It seems like, it's weird. It's all weird. Let's take a break here. We're in studio with Arad Boxenbaum, my guest co-host. He's an elected member of the Library Board of Geneva, Illinois. And by the way, really wonderful community. I love that area of Illinois. And we'll take a break here and continue our conversation. We've got the phone lines are open. We'll take the next call when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 in Seattle, and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul. More after this. Thank you for hanging out. We're in the home stretch.
This is First Take at Daybreak with Al Kendall. Sundays, 7 a.m., where sharp minds meet real conversations. From city programs making a difference to guests shaping Chicagoland's future, Al's got the mic and the message. You'll hear from folks like Board President Tony Preckwinkle, city and county officials, and maybe even your alderman. He has a rotating cast of insiders who actually know what's going on. If you want the headlines and the backstory, start your morning here. First Take at Daybreak. Sundays, 7 a.m., unplugged and unfiltered.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
Add a luxurious look to your home this holiday season with help from Menards. MS International has a great selection of tile to update your home. Beautiful and durable ceramic and porcelain tile adds timeless elegance and style to any floor or wall. 12 by 12 Terra tile is only 99 cents each, now through December 24th. Stop in today and check out all our flooring options and check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
After my wife died, I felt like I lost everything, including my love of fishing. But one day, my granddaughter called, and I realized I still had a lot to look forward to. I got referred to a psychiatrist who explained depression can happen to anyone. Getting help doesn't make me weak. It makes me stronger. I just wish it made me better at fishing.
Mental health care is working for Diego. See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversey Beer, Wine and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue the drive home. Joining me in the studio is guest co-host Arad Boxenbaum. We talked earlier to our friend Mike Nellis, who was on his way to do Fox News with Jesse Waters, Okay, God bless and Godspeed. I know that Dan Schaefer will be listening, who will be guest co-hosting with me on Friday. Thank you so much, Dan, for that. And we have on the line with us Roosevelt, who's calling from Chicago. Roosevelt, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays. What do you got planned for the holidays, Roosevelt?
Basically just with the family, maybe making a ham, something to that effect,
nice.
A turkey.
Yeah.
What about you?
We are very quiet. Well, so we have a tradition in my house. My father was a cab driver for 50 years. I've talked about that. And because he often drove on Christmas Eve, we didn't know what time he would be home. So rather than making a big spread and keeping things warm or, eating at 11 o'clock at night, we would get a flash frozen pizza from Uno's. So that's, I'll be picking up my pizzas
That's
too.
different.
Yeah. And we still do it. My father passed away 24 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it still reminds me of waiting for Dad to come home for pizza on Christmas Eve.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I'm excited about that.
First, I'm going to start with a question, and please hold up the answer till I finish, if you can.
Okay. I'm turning my mic off. I'll turn Arad's off as well.
All right. Well, I'm not going to be that long, hopefully, because I say that and I go overboard. Anyway, why did Elise Stefanik quit everything? What's the reasoning? That's the first question. Second, I'm going to be all over the place, by the way, Patty, as usual. Why isn't Cairo Fernandez Santos part of the festivities and the unsung hero of the game with the Bears? Because without 3 consecutive field goals that he made with the wind blowing 20, 30 miles an hour, they would have never tied the game. He's the one that started the whole game with 3 consecutive field goals, 9 points.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. They could not get into a scoring position except to get field goals.
Exactly.
How about that wind too? Now, Rod,
that's what I'm talking about.
There was, I know, I was going to say, but did you notice what they were using, or the way they wanted to indicate to us by what they panned to for how windy it was? It was the pants of the refs, like to show them like blowing
exactly
in the wind.
I saw.
Really funny. I was just go ahead.
And Patty, not only that. Those yellow poles were moving.
Yeah, they were swaying.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, the guy didn't blink. Just every time.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to mention about the game. And was it just me, or did the guy the defender, don't know the guy's name, from Green Bay, wasn't he draped all over the wide receiver? That was a penalty there, as far as I'm concerned, and I was surprised they didn't throw a flag, unless I saw it different.
Well, hey, Roosevelt, I thought in the game-winning touchdown, I thought that the defenseman, it was all. I mean, like that looked like that would have been a foul.
That's what I'm saying. He was.
I thought you meant it. 1,000%. He was. I felt like he was on his mask, on his back.
And there was no flag. So if the guy wouldn't never caught it, there wouldn't have been any win either. I mean, they would have never won because there was no flag. I was expecting a flag, but that's the way it goes.
It wasn't. Well, I think at that point it wasn't necessary as long as he caught it. I mean, what were they going to do? Give him another. Yeah. Do it again. Get another one.
I think that's one of the best games I saw in 35 years since the Super Bowl. That game reminded me of the game that Minnesota and the Bears played when they won the championship, when McMahon came in at halftime, and the first throw was a touchdown. It was like 35, some ridiculous amount of yards, and they scored right away.
You have to understand that you and I are talking. Well, I do, but you and I are talking about a game that happened 16 years before Arad was born. Just to put it in perspective for both of us. Just I can do the math. So this is where I fell in love with. I mean, I do love football, and I'll watch it. Especially if you go to a bar or something. That's what's generally on. Although I was a little salty. I was in Wisconsin, and someone switched it to golf, and I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?" It wasn't Packers. It was like college ball. But no, I fell in love with the '85 Bears. I mean, it was something to behold. I was a baseball girl, didn't know anything about football, and I was all in. So yeah, I absolutely love it. Yes, so when I watch now, I scream a lot. I scream at the TV. Yeah, it's so much fun.
And the last thing I wanted to mention is the letter that Epstein sent to that guy from Michigan, the guy that was abusing those girls in gymnastics in Michigan. Did you see that letter I sent? I believe I sent it to you.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that and about Elise Stefanik? And I'm going to hang up.
Okay.
So somebody else will call in.
Oh, we're almost at the end of the show, so I appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us. Have a great evening. I'll be here. I believe I'm here tomorrow. Am I live tomorrow?
Oh, are you?
I'm live. I'm live tomorrow and Friday. I'm just taking Christmas off, my friend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you so much. So Elise Stefanik, who's dropped out of the gubernatorial race, wasn't she promised something? Or she
was promised to be the UN ambassador.
That's right.
And
yes.
I see. I'm glad that we went and that we're talking about Stefanik and not Epstein, because I have a great comment because we're talking about the Bears. Bears are a whole lot better at winning than Elise Stefanik, and that is why she dropped out. Elise Stefanik, right? She was she was appointed pending confirmation to be the UN ambassador, but then there are these special elections, the first round of special elections, congressional elections in Florida, where Democrats were overperforming by about 15 points. The swings there were so heavy that if Stefanik's seat was up for a special election, that was going to get very, very close. So that's why she decided, you know what? No, I don't think she made the decision. I think the decision was made for her.
Okay.
And then she decided that she's done with the House. I think it's because she really wanted to be speaker, or wanted to be, if not speaker, but number one, number two with the Republicans. And all of those men are hyper misogynist, and she wants out. So she thought, okay, Kathy Hochul is going to be, potentially vulnerable. Lee Zeldin got very close the last time that Kathy Hochul was running for governor. She thought, well, maybe she can pull it off. And then, no, it's New York in a Trump midterm, and Kathy Hochul has been on a roll lately in standing up to Trump and, kind of adopting some of the, some of Mamdani's platform a bit, kind of, not standing in his way, but saying, you know what, we might disagree, but you are still the mayor of New York City, and I want the city to do well. And that alone, she's skyrocketing in the polls, she's skyrocketing in approval, and Elise Stefanik, well, what does she stand for? She doesn't stand for anything unless it benefits her. And that's really, really tough to sell. So that's why she dropped out.
Yeah. I just I like to see more infighting, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, which it is what it is. I mean, do you think after January 6th, because that's when their pensions, that they have to stick in there to get their full pensions for some of them, do you think we'll see more people say, no one's going to leave their seat the way she has?
No.
I think they'll say, I'm not running for re-election. We'll have more of those because they're going to see the writing on the wall.
We're seeing a lot of retirements. We're seeing retirements from Wyoming. The senator from Wyoming announced that she is not running, right? We are seeing a lot of that. It's a miserable place. It's, Republican leadership is an absolute mess. They haven't been showing up for votes. They have been holding votes.
Yeah.
Because Johnson is just trying to
run out the clock.
Exactly that. So I think we'll see a lot more Republicans decide that they're not running. But about Marjorie Taylor Greene, God, every time she does something that every time she does something to stand up to Trump and Johnson and all that, I feel this impulsive need to take a shower. My OCD comes out. I'm like, I cannot find myself in the same position as her. Like I can't be agreeing with her or applauding her at all.
Sure.
She is awful, but you know what? I'm glad that she's standing up against just a really awful regime, not just to immigrants, women, the LGBTQ community, everybody, but internally in DC, they've been just an absolute mess, and just no member of Congress that I've spoken to is happy with their job right now.
Yeah, really. Before we go, I just want to let you know that our friend Jim from Romeoville says, I'm looking forward to see the new blood in the U.S. House and in states as well. I'm an FDR Dem, and also a progressive man from Romeoville. So thank you, Jim, for that. Before I forget, people always ask me what they can do to support the work that we do here at WCPT and Heartland Signal. Is always the best way is to support our sponsors and tell them you appreciate them advertising with us. And if you're on Facebook, there's another way. You can now subscribe to the WCPT 820 and Heartland Signal Facebook pages. A subscription is just 99 cents a month, and we will have some special offers for our subscribers coming soon. So visit us at WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and Heartland Signal on Facebook, and hit that subscribe button. Tomorrow on Choose Views, tune in. It was great to hang out with him. He'll have some great guests, as well as a live local Tory writer in for Jonas Posito tomorrow. Thank you, Lady B. Thank you, Arad Boxenbaum. Have a great night, everybody.
Hey, Progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Choose Views weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. Central. We're all anxious for the 2026 midterm election to arrive.